Welcome back, everybody. We are here. We are live. We are ready to go. As you guys can see already, we have a guest on this episode. But before we get to that guest, I see he's getting excited here. He's getting fidgety. We're fidgety too. We're ready, guys. I'm Jules, collecting with Jules on YouTube. This is the podcast, the Pokemon Purveyors, and it would not be the same without my co-host, my friend, Mr. PokeNav himself. Buddy, how is it going today?
Dude, it is good, good, good. And as you said, we've got another guest for the podcast today, and I am super excited about this. His appearance is very timely. We've got some fun discussions to get into here today, and I am super excited to be here with both of you. And if you guys are just listening to this, if you're out there on the podcast platforms and you're just listening to this, you're just listening to the audio, I'm sure by now you're thinking to yourself, well, who is it? They're getting me excited. I've got all this pent up feeling. Who is it? Jules, who do we have the pleasure of speaking with today?
Guys, you guys know him. He's been around on YouTube for a little bit right now. We got him here with us live. I know him personally by the fact that I love his laugh. Guys, we got the birds himself, Mr. Omaash from YouTube here on the podcast. Omaash, how is it going, dude?
Good. I mean, you said the birds, so I have to say it right now.
There you go. Yes.
Birds. What's up, guys? Thanks for having me here. I'm super excited and nervous just because I get nervous about stuff like this.
Of course. There's nothing to worry about, dude. We are here. Don't worry about it. We got this. It's super relaxed, like we were saying off camera. Don't worry about it. Shad and I will take care of getting you nice and comfortable here on the scene as well. So
or uncomfortable. We're good at that too. We're good at getting people uncomfortable too.
I'm ready.
We've been known for that.
There we go. So guys, we have Omaash here. We're ready to go. We're gonna get into the first thing. And first things first, we're gonna clear up a little of the ground rules here. So Omaash, buddy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself for those who are listening, for those who have not seen you maybe on YouTube yet? Just let us know. How did you start collecting? Where are your roots and so on, and go into it, bud.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty short-winded. Like I don't like talking about myself. I like getting to know other people. But I'm Omaash. I've been on YouTube for just over a year, so I don't feel like that's too long, but compared to like other people that we all know. But it's a blast. Love the Omaash Nation, love the Pokemon community, and Dragon Ball community. I have to throw in there as well. But yeah, other than that, quickly, without just dragging, I've been collecting since Pokemon came out. I'm a 90s boy. Loved the video game as a kid, got into the Pokemon cards the second they were released in the US. I wish I've been collecting since they've come out, but like all of us, many others, there was definitely a time where Pokemon just wasn't cool, right? But yeah, just started YouTube on a whim just because I thought it'd be fun, sharing some of my openings because I was just doing it for fun by myself and freaking out alone. Thought it'd be cool to just post some videos and see what happened. And it's honestly been one of the best decisions of my life. It's been so fun. And yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Like I said, I don't have much to say about me.
That's cool. So Shad, I know you're gonna probably ask him. You mentioned the Dragon Ball Z as well, right? So I don't know if you wanna.
Yes. So I guess we'll just get it out there right off the bat. Now, again, if you guys are just listening to us, you're not watching the video over on YouTube, you'll just have to see this in your mind's eye. But Omaash, when I saw that you are also a Dragon Ball Z fan, that got me really excited. And I also saw that you're collecting some of the more modern Dragon Ball Z cards from Dragon Ball Super. Well, for myself, a lot of people know me as, of course, PokeNav, but I also have a deep passion for Dragon Ball Z. And back in the day, I was telling Jules this from my childhood collection, I probably have more Dragon Ball Z cards than I do Pokemon cards from that time.
Wow.
And so I thought today, again, you guys can't see this, but I thought I would bust out the old binder here.
No
Uh,
way.
so I'll just get this closer to the camera. You can see.
Those cards are
But
so sick. I remember I have a stack about this big. For those who can't see, like 3-4 inches, like not a lot of cards.
mhm,
So I'm definitely going heavier with the new DBS card game, but you can't beat those old cards. I even a couple days ago I messaged John Pokemon Radar asking about those like vintage DBZ cards because I know there are some heavy hitters,
mhm.
and they're amazing looking. And I tried to find them on eBay and everything, and you just can't find them. So I'm like, oh freak, I want some of them, but I love DBZ. Definite
Mhm.
huge part of my life.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And this is just one of many folders that I have, which, that's the thing. A lot of people have asked me a similar thing of, do you think that these will actually have value? And these old Dragon Ball Z cards that were created by Score Entertainment, they kind of fall in a weird place because it's essentially a dead card game. It's a dead hobby. And
Oh
the
yeah.
reason being is that Score is no longer a business. So even if you wanted to get these cards authenticated or graded with somebody like PSA, Beckett, CGC, they can't authenticate them because the company is no longer exists.
Right.
But if someday they somehow are able to figure out a way to authenticate them, I think these old Score Entertainment Dragon Ball Z cards, I think, are poised for really good growth, and I think they'll explode because, in my opinion, I think along with Pokemon, this was the next big trading card game, other than maybe Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh. A lot of people migrated to the Dragon Ball Z card game.
That's
So
it.
Oh
I just had to show that here tonight. It was really cool to see another DBZ fan in the house, which you're the first one that I know of that we've had. So I had to put that out there.
well, that was an awesome flex. I will say that.
It's funny because when PokeNav goes live on his Friday night usuals on his channel, he's hinted already to those Dragon Ball Z cards and so on. So it's cool that I could actually see them too now finally because they're so they're so rare. If you and Shad showing his collection is very rare when it comes to these types of things. So it's really cool. I appreciate that, Bud, and that we have Omaash here, another DBZ collector and fan. Is great to see that come out. Basically,
Well, it's only for really important occasions
VIPs,
that we do that.
VIPs.
So just for you, Omash.
Yes, I'm honored.
That's cool. That's cool. So you said you were a '90s kid,
Mhm.
and the Pokemon came out in '99. You said you started collecting it right away, right? How old were you at the time?
So 99, I was 8 or 9. I was born in 90,
Okay.
December of 90. So like, the very end of the year. But yeah, I was in elementary school. I remember heavily, all of us had our Game Boys. We had, either red or blue, battling each other with the freak. What are those called again? The cables.
The link cables.
The link cables.
Link.
Yeah.
Do they have a special name?
Who
I'm not
knows?
sure.
That's just what we all called them.
Yeah, I just and oh, just getting in so many fights over stupid Pokemon. I remember one time, I was fighting a guy like Venusaur was my guy. I picked Bulbasaur as my first starter, and he
Yes.
wrecked. I'm telling you guys, Razor Leaf. It didn't even matter the typing. It was a critical hit every time, and you just could not beat it. But the guy I was facing had a Mewtwo, and I hadn't gotten that to a Mewtwo yet. Somehow, I don't know. My Venusaur was level 100, but I didn't have Mewtwo. Anyway, it was just like okay, I'll battle you, but you can't use Mewtwo. He pulled out the Mewtwo, and I just remember being so pissed.
You know, Shad, isn't it? He didn't have Mewtwo. Why? Because he didn't sail up the coast of Cinnabar Island yet, right?
Oh, no, it's because, so with Mewtwo, from what I recall, from Red and Blue, once you beat the Pokemon League, there was like
Mhm.
this last challenge of this, this really powerful genetically engineered Pokemon, and you had to go back to Rock Tunnel. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you could only get the Master Ball after you had actually beaten the Pokemon League, and that's typically the like one of the well, it was a surefire way, but was one of the only ways that you could get Mewtwo, because otherwise, like we were talking about with the legendary birds, Jules, you get
Yeah.
that HP too low, you
You're
faint him and then
done.
you're done. You can't get him again. So I think that Mosh, he must not had that master ball yet, and or maybe you just didn't sail up and down Cinnabar Island and to get that cheat code so that you could get the 100 ultra balls.
Yeah, that's
Seriously,
it.
I have no idea how any kids figured out any of that stuff back then.
Is that
Like,
crazy?
there was no
I,
Yeah,
Google.
no,
the
no,
internet, we used to you have to plug it into the wall and be like, guys, stop using everything in the house right now. I need to
mhm,
just load this picture, please.
yeah. But yeah, that I think that was the I think basically what it was that kids just somehow found out through the grapevine. I think most of those little glitches, they had existed like in the Japanese games, and then people had learned about it through Japan, basically through sources in Japan, and found that they followed suit in the English games as well. So.
It's something. All of us knew that the missing number bug.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
all knew about that somehow, and like Pokemon past level 100, but those were the times.
Those were the
Mhm.
times. Those were the times. We actually had the Shad and I one of the podcast episodes where we went through and just picture, okay, you were a kid, you're playing on your Game Boy, and all of a sudden something goes haywire or whatever with the game, and you have to restart it or whatever, and you gotta blow into that cartridge. You know, there's no more blowing into cartridges now. I don't think like a kid will never understand the struggles
Oh,
that it was back in the 90s, and early 2000 with those things. So
No,
it's
yeah.
funny.
Kids don't have to save right before a big event to turn it off if they mess up anymore.
There,
yeah. So you
there,
could start right back.
that was the best part. It's so funny because I play it. I still play it. I was talking to Shad also, and I just got my Game Boy Color back finally after so many years. And it's like you're right, dude. You go before you face the gym leader, save that go Pokemon Center, heal up everybody, and go back in there and whoop some butt. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's just funny. That's funny how it goes that way. But guys, I think we've been having some good personal conversations here. I think we're gonna get into a little bit more of the investing slash financial background here now, because I know everybody knows PokeNav. He's got that finance background, and I know I see him. His brain is going around in circles here, and we have someone, Mr. Omaash here, that knows a little bit of something about CGC, PSA, and BGS. So, Shad, please do, sir. Take it away.
Yeah, and as I was saying earlier, it's very timely to have you on, Omash, because with and you know this probably better than anybody, being a middleman for the big three, PSA, BGS, and for CGC. The turnaround times for what is arguably the big dog of the three, PSA, with it being just astronomically long. I mean, we're looking now at 6+ months conservatively for people to get their cards back. And again, that's very conservative. A lot of people are asking the question, should I, well, and BGS you can also include in that scope as well. So many people are looking for an alternative to have their cards graded so that they don't have to wait that long turnaround time. And really the front runner from what I have seen is CGC. Now they are the new kid on the block. In the realm of trading cards, as Jules can attest, they've been doing comics for a long, long time. but recently got into trading cards. And with them being the new kid on the block, people still have questions, maybe aren't totally familiar with them, the services that they offer. So I think, as I said, today is a really good time to have you on because you've witnessed this, you've witnessed the turnaround times, and you can kind of compare and contrast the three together and hopefully be able to give people advice as to, hey, maybe if this is your goal, maybe if it's a quicker flip or you want to get your cards back faster, maybe this is the better way to go. Or, if you're willing to wait that long time frame, maybe PSA or Beckett. So that's really what I want to get into with you here. As I said, you are a middleman for all three. The first thing that I would ask is, how did you get into this role, and what made you to decide to become a middleman?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I don't think a lot of people know it actually. Um, but I've always liked helping other people. And I felt not, it wasn't like a heavy need or anything, but I wanted to give back to the people who are supporting me some way other than just, putting out videos a couple times a week. And so I was like, at the time, I had just repurchased my PSA membership, and repurchasing that just got me thinking, I wonder like how many people would actually use me as a middleman. I know a few other people in the community who have done it for a little while, and I figured it was an awesome way to give back to my little community of supporters. And it turned out to be a really popular thing to do.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't expect much at all. I remember making my first video just saying, if we have enough cards, I'll send every 2 times a month, every 1st and 16th. But if not, then we'll just, wait till we have enough cards. But since I released the announcement, I've gotten hundreds of cards every single period, 2 times a month, strong. And
Mhm.
it's kind of mind blowing. Like, wow, you guys are all just trusting me, some content creator with your prized possessions. uh, but yeah, I did not think that it'd be as successful as it is right now. But yeah, I just wanted to give back to my
Mhm.
supporters.
Well, and it's a great way to, especially with so many new people coming into the hobby and being unfamiliar with the grading process. I know
Hmm.
when I first started back in 2016 and really started to study up on, what a graded card was, how do I get a card graded, the process, it is very tedious. And you know this, like I said, probably better than anybody going about it yourself. It is a tedious process and can take a lot of time. So I think for many people who are coming in that are still trying to familiarize themselves with the grading process, it's just easier for them to have someone like yourself, a liaison essentially, to handle the bulk of the submission, the
Yeah.
submission itself, returning the cards. It takes a lot of weight off of people's shoulders. And in fact, I've utilized the same thing. I truly do not have the time to do submissions by myself. So it is awesome to have people like yourself in the community that have taken this responsibility on your shoulders.
No, yeah, it's been awesome. And honestly, I probably don't have time either. I make it work just because it is a good way to give back. And also, I didn't know that it would, be an outcome of this, but some of my best videos are the grading reveal videos.
Hmm.
If you look at my popular feeds or popular videos section, they're all grade reveals.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
people love that content, and I had no idea. And so there was even a time where I was like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. I think I was a couple months in, and obviously with grading, it takes a little while for them to come back, right? So I was a couple months in, but didn't know that people really liked grade reveal videos. And so I was almost at the point of like, this has to stop. Like, I just don't have time. But then we got a couple faster, like express submissions back, posted the videos, and they just blew up. And I was like, whoa, didn't
Mhm.
expect that at all. And so now at this point, I'm probably stretching myself a little too thin sometimes. Um, but at the end of the day, I'm helping the Omaash Nation, and it's also helping the channel grow at a much better rate than it probably would have either
Mhm.
without them. So
Yeah.
yeah, but no, one of my favorite questions that I get is, why would I use a middleman if I could just do it by myself? And I'm just like, oh, I hope you try to do it by yourself, just so you can see, like, it's not easy.
No, no, it's not. And I'm sure, well, both Jules and myself can attest to that. So, guys that have been in the hobby for a while now, and guys that have been doing it for a while, to have somebody like yourself it is a huge weight lifted off your shoulders when you've got somebody to take care of that more tedious portion of the submission. So on top of that, really the other thing that I wanted to get into with you, I had recently, by the time that this video goes up, I will have recently posted a video comparing CGC and PSA and kind of going over some of the pros and cons that I see, and also relevant factors that I think help someone to determine who they should go with, especially during this time where PSA is so backlogged. So I want to get your opinion as well. Now that I mean, you have bases with all of the big three grading companies. If somebody is coming to you and they're saying, hey, Omash, I got these cards that I want to get graded, but I don't know who I should send them to. What would be the first piece of advice that you would give them?
It's a solid question, and I get it multiple times every single day. Um, the very first thing I say is, no one can tell you what to do with your own collection. Like, every single person is going to be different. Everyone has different interests, different goals. And so I'm going to tell you what I do, but don't take that as like this is what you should do, because I don't know you and they're your cards. So I do try to get that point out pretty heavily. But then the first one is just like, what is your goal? What do you want to do with these cards? Is it your personal collection you're going to keep forever? You just want to like protect? Then a lot of times people don't really care for the weight of PSA. They're fine waiting 8, 9 months for their cards to come back.
Mhm.
Or other people just want them, in some plastic. And so CGC is an awesome option for that, where it's cheaper and you're going to get your cards back in your hands much faster. So
Mhm.
really, I just try to get to know what the person wants with their cards and then try to give a non-biased response, because I definitely, have my own collection goals and opinions regarding what I do with my cards. So
Mhm.
just try to talk to them.
Okay.
That's it.
No, that totally makes sense, and it sounds like you're weighing their particular situation, to give them advice on which way they should go. I know a lot of people are going to want to know this as well. We have a tendency, and I do as well, to compare to PSA because they do seem like they are as I said, the top dog. But what about BGS as far as their turnaround times right now? What is the average that you're seeing? Whether that's just with a regular grading or maybe express grading. What are the average turnaround times you're seeing there?
So surprisingly, I put a poll up just asking, because when I first started, it was just PSA. But then I was like, maybe I should expand to BGS and CGC, and tons of people showed interest in BGS. But since opening it up, I get maybe 10 cards a month, if that, going to Beckett. And
Wow.
so it's like, I actually don't have the most experience with their turnaround times, but it is funny. They used to be pretty fast, especially if you were paying for one of the higher service levels.
Hmm.
But if you go to their site right now, every single section of their pricing, everything says previously 2 day turnaround, previously 5 day. Like,
Hmm.
Beckett is also getting slammed, just like PSA has been slammed. They did release a little better estimate time article the other week. And I think for their bulk submission, which is their cheapest option, I think it's $25 per card. They're giving like 7 months.
Wow.
So it used to be 60 days. So you'd get your
Mhm.
cards back, within a couple months. But they're just so slammed that if you're submitting a bulk order, you're not getting them for 7 months at least.
Wow. Wow.
But regarding the higher price points, there's $100 express and then a premium for $125 per card. I've actually done the premium once, and it got back to me in about 3 weeks, leaving my house and back in my house 3 weeks.
Mhm.
So that's really not bad at all. And then the express is about a month and a half.
And what would you say that most collectors or most people sending you cards are most of them bulk submissions that you're getting, or do you get a pretty good handful of people who are maybe have like a really top tier card and they're going down that express route?
Definitely bulk. Most of the cards are bulk submissions, especially early on. I didn't get any express stuff until PSA kind of shut down their economy service level because they've been because of COVID and because they were so backed up.
Mhm.
But lately, I have, like, just today actually, I sent off probably 30 or 40 PSA regular service cards. That's the $50 card price point. And like 10 to 15 express level cards.
Hmm.
And $50 to $75 a card adds up super quick.
Yeah.
It's not cheap whatsoever, but people are just wanting their cards back, and they're
Mhm.
fine ponying up the dough.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, but yeah, for the most part, it's definitely bulk submissions, both on the PSA side and CGC side.
Mhm. Well, and piggybacking off of your comment there of where a lot of people are just wanting to get their cards back as soon as possible, this has really given rise to an increase an increase in interest in CGC because
Oh,
among the three, the turnaround times for CGC are much better, and I think a lot of that boils down to just being the new kid on the block. But what are you seeing there? With your CGC submissions, what are you seeing as far as average turnaround times?
so they are actually getting more backed up as well. They actually just pushed back a couple of their turnaround times on their website. Um, just for an example, at the beginning of December, I sent off a bunch of bulk services. And today, being middle of January, they still haven't started the grading process.
Hmm.
And granted, it is a 60-day turnaround estimate given for the lowest tier stuff. So obviously, we're not past 60 days yet. But as of right now, CGC is definitely pretty accurate, at least you can say, when you're comparing it to their turnaround estimates online.
Hmm.
I did submit a walkthrough card, um, as a little experiment I did on my YouTube channel, and it's a 2-day, now 3-day turnaround grading time,
Hmm.
and the card got back to me in a week, like
Wow.
absolutely
Wow.
insane, and it only
Wow.
cost me $50.
Hmm.
So
And BGS, that would have cost what, $150 or what? Not, you can't even
at
get it
least,
back in a week. Yeah.
yeah, you wouldn't have gotten it back in a week, and it'd be close to $200 after shipping and everything.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
That's crazy. It's
Insane.
CGC, like everybody's saying, right? CGC is the new kid on the block, new kid on the block, new kid on the block. But at the end of the day, how long can they stay the new kid on the block? So compared to PSA and BGS that have a long running history, right, of being those go-to people when you need your graded cards, right? As you see in back of me, right, Omaash, I got some comic books there.
Oh yeah.
CGC is king when it comes to comic books, right? So basically, what it comes down to is they're king in one
Jules is
side.
biased, basically. Jules is
Yeah.
very biased.
Don't listen to him.
CGC, when it comes down to comics, is king. When it comes down to cards right now is new kid on the block. But what I'm just trying to figure out is to that aspect of the people that don't care about waiting the time, then sure, at the end of the day, if you don't care about waiting the time and you don't care what the case looks like or anything like that, and you just want to keep for your collection, if you're a true, real, deep down inside collector, I don't care what it looks like, whatever. At the end of the day, you can pick anyone you want, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's it's fun to see someone new come onto the block as well, to see what kind of scrambling everybody else is gonna do. And given that CGC is the new kid on the block, I still think they have a lot of advancement. And like your video came out a couple of days ago, Shad, you said it too. They have room to experiment. They have nothing to lose right now. They're the new guys. All they have is to acquire a bigger market share from all these bigger guys that don't have time to produce as quickly as they're able to produce now because they're new, right? So I just think what's your favorite case? Which case looks the nicest to you, Omaash?
See, that one's hard because I actually do love the CGC case. If we're talking labels, that's another story. But the feel of the case, I really do enjoy. PSA just feels a little cheaper to me. I don't exactly like how you can't see through the plastic, like it's foggy, whatever you want to call it. And Beckett, I just don't know why I don't like Beckett that much. Like I can't explain it. I do enjoy, the feel of it. It feels like really well made. But if I could get see, this is hard too, because PSA's label also kind of sucks, if we're being real. But it's just what I'm used to. It's what I've, seen since I got back into the hobby. And so it is what like a graded card should look like to me. So even though they suck kind of, PSA's label on like a CGC case, that would be like perfect. But I collect all three. I send all three companies, just kind of depends on the card and all that stuff. And yeah, I have I have slabs of all three all over the place.
I'd like to go ahead and get back. Jules likes to talk about the aesthetics. I like to talk about the hardcore data and analytics. But I'd like to get back to like, the prices between the three, and kind of if you could give everybody kind of a breakdown so that they can understand, from a price standpoint, because that is also, a decision or a factor that is going to go into their decision as to maybe which route they should take. So if you could maybe just kind of give us the breakdown, maybe high level breakdown of the three.
Yeah, so I talked about this in one of my videos, but overall, CGC is definitely the cheapest. Now you can get really nitty gritty, and like the cheapest option at CGC, no subgrades, is $8 per card. But if you add subgrades, that's $5 on top of the grading fee, which makes it $13 per card, right? Which is $3 more than PSA's cheapest option at their value level, their bulk level, which is $10 per card. So, the high level overall CGC is cheapest, but if we're getting down to it, you can get cheaper with PSA, but you're also going to be waiting, 7 more months to get your cards back. And then BGS, I think like I said, I don't grade too often with Beckett. So pretty much every time I have to go to their pricing part of their site just to verify. But I think the cheapest option, if you have less than 50 cards with subgrades, because honestly, I don't know why anyone would grade without subgrades, is $25 per card. So Beckett is definitely the most expensive out of the three. But it kind of makes sense. Like if you hold their case, it just feels kind of high class. Their labeling system, if you get that gold or black label, looks amazing. But yeah, that's essentially it. Now, with so many people kind of wanting their cards back faster, just quickly talking about like the middle services, PSA's next jump is 50 per card. That's their regular service. They used to have an economy level, which was 20 per card, but due to the pandemic, they shut that down fast.
Mhm.
That hasn't been up for months now, and who knows if they'll even bring it back. Um, and actually, the surprise with the regular service, I've been getting those cards back in a month, which is way faster than what their site says and what I'd think it'd come back as.
Mhm.
Like pretty much PSA's regular and express level services are being graded at the same speed. It's just if you're grading a more valuable card because of the declared value, um, some people may need the express level, right?
Mhm.
Let's see, Beckett's mid tier is, oh, you guys are testing me. I want to say it jumps to like 60 per card, 75. I
Mhm.
think that's the next tier, 75 per card. And you'll be getting your cards back in a few months. Um, and then CGC, their top level is cheaper than all of those middle levels at the other
Mhm.
grading companies, and you're getting your card back in a week. So
Yeah.
it's pretty mind blowing.
Mhm.
That's
No,
crazy.
that's yeah, that's really good, man. And I know a lot of people are going to appreciate that breakdown because, as I said, it's a pretty big determining factor for a lot of people. So essentially, what I gathered from that is, um, if you want to, obviously, if you want to get your cards back faster, CGC is probably going to be your better route. You can get them back faster through PSA or Beckett, but you are going to pay a significantly higher premium to do so, and you're still probably looking at about maybe a month to 2 months to do so. That's something that people have to consider. Do you want to, and does a card, I think of it a lot of the time. That's why I've got Jules and myself here. I think a lot of it from the standpoint of investing. And so when I look at it, I say, okay, the you might be you're going to be paying a premium on a card. Does that card even warrant paying that premium? Now, there's obviously cards out there that yeah, you should probably just go ahead and get the premium on it. Go down the route of Beckett, especially if you think that it could potentially come back in like a pristine 10. Fork over the extra money to have it graded for that particular card. But for the vast majority, in my opinion at least, it's probably better if you don't have like any short-term goals. It's probably better just to go ahead and send it in with PSA and just wait for it to come back. But if you are trying to flip products, you're trying to flip graded cards more quickly. Although, and this is actually another question that I have for you, I have seen that the value of CGC cards, at least on the open market, is lower than the equivalent grade for Beckett, or I mean, you can't get exactly, but close enough grade with PSA. Is
Mhm.
that something that you have seen as well? You've obviously taken in a lot of cards. You've given a lot of cards back. I'm sure you've seen plenty out on the open market now. Are you seeing the same thing where an equivalently conditioned CGC card is not going for the same value as PSA or Beckett?
Yeah, for sure. And that's mostly just due to them being the new kids in the block, right? People still don't know who they are or trust their grading, or they don't like their slabs or labels or whatever. And it's also just set kind of in stone for now that PSA is where the money's at. Unless you have like one of those higher graded Beckett slabs, PSA, you're gonna get much more value out of your card. I have seen though, kind of a slow revolving chat, I guess you can call it, that people are picking up on CGC's strictness. So if you're getting CGC nines, nine and a halves, tens, I think it'll be pretty good to hold on to those for a little while because people are talking about it. And
Hmm.
obviously, it's pretty obvious if it's harder to get a certain grade, if it's harder to get that perfect 10, the value just, goes up more and more and more.
Hmm.
um, but for sure, CGC as of today, much cheaper than PSA or Beckett, the competitors. But that's also, it's getting a lot of people to buy these
Mhm.
cards that they want
Exactly.
from CGC because it is cheaper.
Yeah.
So, so many angles with it all.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, and that's the other question that I had for you was, um, what I have seen. Now, I personally do not have any. I have not graded, nor do I have any cards through CGC. But what I have seen out on the open market, and what I've heard throughout the community, just anecdotes from other collectors, other investors, is that it seems CGC is much more consistent in their grading versus especially PSA. Is that something that you have noticed as well?
100%. And I mean, we don't know exactly the process that all of these companies use, but it's pretty safe to say that PSA is mostly human grading still. So
Hmm.
tons of room for error there. Um, Whereas CGC, I'm pretty sure they're using some sort of computerized technology to help with a lot of their grading. And
Hmm.
obviously, if a computer is, set to look for XX and X, it doesn't care about the card. It's going to be much more accurate than your top human grader, just because
Hmm.
we aren't perfect. Um, so yeah, definitely CGC seems to be a little more accurate than PSA. Now, I don't know too much about the Beckett side, just because personally, like we've talked about, Beckett's not my favorite thing. So I don't spend too much time, diving into the Beckett side of the world. But we do know that it's pretty safe to say that Beckett grades a lot more strict, kind of like CGC. It's much harder to get that pristine or black label 10 than a PSA 10.
Mhm.
I don't know if they're using the same or similar technologies, but at this time, PSA is definitely the easier grade, which a lot of people do want.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's
But
understandable. It's so funny, Jules. We were just talking about this not too long ago, because I think we were both under the impression that all three companies were strictly using human graders. And as you just said, there's not only is there room for error, but there's also room for subjectivity there, rather
Oh,
than you're a computer engineer, correct, by
yeah.
trade? So
Uh-huh.
when you punch something into a computer, if there's an algorithm that they're using, or if they're using certain specifications, let's say that they're looking at the centering, and you've got the dimensions on the card, exactly if that card is perfectly center or not, just based
Yeah.
upon an algorithm. So that's really interesting to hear, and I had not heard that before, that they were using computers, but it makes sense because I have not seen, or it's very rare that I have seen CGC like nines, 9.5s, or 10s out on the open market. And so I thought that it was just based upon maybe a stricter grading from the standpoint of the individuals who are looking at them. But that makes a lot more sense to me now if they are using that. And to me, it just makes sense. We're 2021 now, and especially with the explosion of people having their cards graded, to me, it would just make sense to use computer programs. I mean, there is a little bit of maybe a nostalgic factor of actually having somebody look at your cards. But to me, there's just too much subjectivity there. And on top of that, it seems like that would only help the turnaround times. If instead of you have to, somebody has to sit down, they have to, they've got a 100 card submission that they've got to get through. They work an 8-hour shift. They got to take lunch, got to take their 10-minute breaks. Whereas a computer, can just work 24/7. It just, I don't know. It just makes sense to me that they would migrate more towards that.
100%. And I think that's still why, I mean, we'll see how long it can last, but that's why CGC, even though they are getting more people, migrating over, their turnaround times aren't drastically being changed like PSA and Beckett,
Hmm.
because a lot of their grading process is much more automated and faster than what a human can do.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's just,
But
it's in. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just, but it's all speculation because we don't know exactly what's going on.
Hmm.
Behind closed doors, huh?
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny, right? Because we were saying like BGS is the most strict, then CGC probably followed the routine, not routine, but like the layout of the land in terms of they followed BGS and they didn't want to follow PSA, and PSA finds themselves to be the least strict.
Mhm.
I consider myself the one who doesn't really care about the finances. I don't care how long it takes. As long as it comes back, it's beautiful. I can put it up on my wall. We're good to go. Thank you very much. So
Right.
when it comes down to this, if I look at it, we were saying that CGC is more strict, right? If
Mhm.
my card, okay, according to the most conservative possible, and to be them, I'd rather have strict people look at my card and figure out that this is a 9 or 9.5 with CGC because it's not that 10, then know that, oh, if I send this to PSA, I'll get a 10, whatever. At the end of the day, my mindset is I want the best collectible that I could have. Not I want a collectible that's a 9 and then I send it to these guys, it becomes a 10 and then I can sell it. Because I'm not looking at it, the financial background and all that stuff. So it's me about what it looks like and the best possible collectible that I can have. So what do you feel you are? Are you coming from a background of the same thing feeling as me? Or if I can go get that 10 and then I can go sell it and do what I need to do with it, then maybe I can get something better. What's your take on that?
Awesome question. I'm definitely not like a PSA 10 snob. The people who are kind of like PSA 10 or nothing just kind of bug me, honestly. Like, who cares? But no, I'm 100% like you. I just like the card art for the card itself. If a card, I'm a little pickier. Like, I try and get at least PSA 8s or equivalents. I don't like the lower grades. Um, so I guess I'm a PSA 8 snob. But I just like, I like having the card. I know it's mint still. I love the look, and yeah, I I only sell cards that are going towards a bigger purchase goal. Um, but the cards I really love and I see myself just keeping forever. So I really don't care about the prices of anything. And I get asked all the time, like, especially on TikTok, like, how much is that worth? I was like, I don't know. The market's changing so much. There's no way I care enough to keep track of it all. So yeah, I'm totally a collector at heart. Um, I don't really care about the finances, even though it is pretty cool and crazy how Pokemon is just blowing up. But yeah, going back to CGC, how much cooler would it be if your card is a true 10, Whereas possibly with PSA, it's like, is this really a 10?
That's
Like,
it, exactly.
Well, since I feel like I'm backed into a corner here, I guess I'll
Yeah,
go
what
ahead
are
and
you
give
gonna
the
say now,
financial
huh?
perspective. Um, but what's interesting, what I find is that very similar to you guys, from the collection standpoint of having a very objective measure where you can say this card is the best that I could possibly get for my collection. Well, it's really the same thing from the financial standpoint as well. It skews the values on the open market when you see, and also it skews the population reports. When Jewel says, hey, I got my card back and it was a Beckett 9.5 or a Beckett 9, and people send that into PSA because they feel confident, well, if I send it in PSA, I'm going to get a PSA 10. Well, are people communicating back to Beckett, letting him know that that is now off of the market? Because that's the thing that they're supposed to do. They're supposed to send the case back
Right.
so that whatever grading company can update their population report. So
Mhm.
again, I think that if you know, like I get this card graded with whatever company it is, and there may be some discrepancy between companies, but you know that if I send my card to PSA and it is 100% based upon an algorithm, there's no questions. It doesn't matter if you ran that card through the algorithm 10,000 times, it's going to come back in the same grade. Um, then you know that the population reports are going to be accurate. You'll know the values on the open market will be more consistent, and that would go for each of the companies. So that then you knew that if I got my card PSA 9, it's a PSA 9 through and through.
Mhm.
If I got my card back and it's a Beckett Black Label 10, you know that if you sent it through their system, there is no way it would come back anything less than a Black Label. And same thing with CGC. If it comes back CGC 10, that is the only grade that you would ever expect from that. So, much like you guys, I think that it would be a great thing for the financial side, whether you're an investor or a collector. Really, what we're looking for here is total and complete consistency. And I
Yeah.
think that would benefit everybody. And, that's one of the things that I'm hoping for. Both from CGC standpoint, where I think they do have the opportunity to innovate, to create a name for themselves, to perhaps supersede PSA and Beckett, but also with PSA now becoming a publicly held company, they have a lot more financial leverage because they're not beholden to shareholders. They have more financial leverage to increase technology, increase their footprint, maybe increase technology within the company. And that's a route that I hope that they take, because that's what we're all looking for. I think in the end is just complete consistency.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think CGC and what they're doing is definitely going to bring some new ideas and like strategizing with PSA and Beckett, because PSA has been around since the 90s, and from what we've seen, they're pretty uh I don't know how to say it. They don't like change.
Hmm.
Like they're still doing exactly the same thing they were doing back in the 90s just because it's working.
Hmm.
But I think now we're at the, you know, time where just working doesn't really cut it,
Yeah.
especially when a grade difference from an 8 to a 9, 9 to a 10 is for a lot of people and some cards tens of thousands, thousands of dollars.
Yes. Yes.
So
Exactly.
that strictness or that model, that process just needs to be refined at this point
Hmm.
because it's only going to get bigger from here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And again, going back to the financial side, I think one of the most important things that we can do in the infancy of Pokemon, especially people who are looking at this as a serious investment, and an alternative investment, maybe to, uh, maybe to as an adjunct to their existing financial assets, we need to have that. We need to have a strong foundation in all the different areas, and grading is one of those, because as you said, the difference from one tier to the next on that grading scale can be absolutely massive for some cards. And that can be a life changing a grade for somebody out
Yeah,
there.
great bump.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's interesting. That's so interesting to see like the whole take on everything, like just what everybody's outlook is. I consider PSA like grandfather in the family, and then like BGS is the uncle of the family, and then you have the little nephew basically just coming along and just like, no, guys, you shouldn't be doing it this way. We should do it this way, right? Especially 2021, right? Let's
Hey,
advance
listen
technology.
here, kid. I've been doing this since 1993. Yeah, I can hear
Exactly.
Granddaddy PSA already.
Oh
That's
yeah.
it. That's it. But like you said too, right? With the acquisition that PSA had now from those other guys, that angel fund investors, right? What was his
Oh
name?
Mhm.
What was his name again?
I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
I don't
Anyways,
remember.
hopefully they come with bigger and better things, and just come to the level of strictness that I think we should be strict everywhere. When, like I said,
Mhm.
I want the strictest possible, like, and CGC is pretty strict when it comes to their comics and stuff also. So I can understand that, what, if I get a 9.5 CGC and the centering is tough to get a 10 on, and whatever the case is, what, so be it. I bite the
Yeah.
Yeah.
bullet and I do what I gotta do, but I'm still happy with it. So
With the comics, I don't know anything about comics. This is just a random side question. I have searched Pokemon comics on eBay. I have a couple. I I never see tens. Like, is a 10 comic just so rare and so valuable? Like, I
so
never
it
see.
it really depends. There's a lot of factors that go into a 10. I have three tens, but
Mm,
it's not like they're Marvel or DC comics. They're
mm,
like secondary markets basically. So like Image, there's a bunch of different other things, right? And the ones that I have are from Zenoscope, it's Grim Fairy Tales, it's completely separate. But a 10, maybe, on, let's say you send in 1,000 books that are brand new, fresh
mhm,
off the printing press, and you send them to CGC, you're probably gonna get 25 9.9s,
uh-huh.
a lot of 9.8. So 9.8 basically is the standard for a mint perfect book. And the
Wow,
10, if you're lucky, you might get one or two.
that's nuts.
So yeah, it's really crazy. So 9.8 is the standard. That's basically a 10 in everybody's eyes when it comes to comics. And when you get the old comics in the 60s, if you get 9.8, it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So action comics number one, first appearance,
Mhm.
Superman, millions, so it's definitely tough to get a 10 with CGC. It's tough to get a 10 on any comic book basically, but I like CGC's grading standards in terms of when it comes to certain things. Like, I stand by it.
Mhm.
So it is what
That's
it is
great.
when it comes to that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just tough to get a 10 on anything, really.
Anything. Exactly.
You probably see this a lot too, Omash, where people might contact you and be like, "Oh, this is a guaranteed 10. This is definitely a 10." And people always overestimate the condition of their card. And I think we've seen a lot of that this year, where it's got big print line through it, a crease through it. That's a PSA 9. That's a Beckett 8.5.
So bad, dude. No, I won't, name names or anything, but tomorrow I actually get a submission back from PSA, an express level one, and one of the, great, supportive, awesome fans, he sent in a bunch of vintage cards and was like, "Bro, I'm so excited. These are all going to be tens. I'm going to make so much money." And literally, there's not a grade above a 7. And so it's like,
Oh. So is this spoiler alert for him? Is
yeah,
this
if he
the
listens to this podcast, he might be spoiled. But no, yeah, hopefully. I mean, I told him, I'm like, dude, these are all like played cards. There's no way you're getting any tens.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just funny to, even at like, I buy a bunch of cards on TCG Player, right? And the thousands of stores that sell there, their near mint listings, I buy them and get them, and there's like little dings and stuff. I'm like, is near mint, like, I don't know. Is it just because I know the grading world that I'm a little more strict when it comes to cards, or do people really just not even notice that, no, this
Mhm.
card's actually not that, in great shape?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I
Because I
think they
think a
don't
lot
know.
of people, yeah, they don't realize that,
That's it.
even a near mint status card is still a nice looking card.
Yeah,
For on all accounts is a really exquisite card for the most part. And even, you go up like PSA 9, like it's tough to get a PSA 9, let
sure.
alone a PSA 10, or you go up from there back at 10, or we're seeing now really, really difficult to get above like a CGC 8.5.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is, another argument for another time, but I completely disagree with the naming of like PSA's grades. Just like a 1 is poor, but then a 2 is like good. Or
Good.
like,
Yeah.
how do you go from good to poor just so
Yeah.
fast? Like they need to change something there. But yeah, I guess technically a PSA 7 is still a near mint card. Like that's what it's labeled. But yeah, if I'm buying something near mint, then it should be pretty close to flawless. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
it goes back to being so important. I think we talked about it. We like to talk about a lot of stuff here, Omash. We just fire back ideas between off camera, on camera. So we spoke about this already, and we said I said it's so important, okay, to understand your own collectibles, okay, whatever you're collecting, especially if you want to get stuff graded, encapsulated, video games, whatever the case is, okay. I'm
mm,
a avid believer. I started my collecting journey with comic books, and I learned so fast on grades and what you need to look for and so I said when I started collecting Pokemon cards at the beginning of 2020, it was the same thing. And I said I need to understand what a 6 is supposed to look like, what a 7. I feel like, guys, before you start sending in so many things, try and understand what types of grades you're looking at, and not maybe be like everything is a 10, everything is a 10. If you have a scratch on your holographic, it can be a 10 right off the top, right? So
Mhm.
just small things, get informed. And now, Omash, you've been seeing it, right? People sending you all kinds of cards, probably from beat up, completely ripped to shreds, to like beautiful, right? And I'm sure you take some guesses on some of those grades that are going to come back. I would personally take a guess on some of those grades. Are you close to what CGC sending you back or PSA sending you back? Let's say if you do take a guess to that.
yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious at this point to know, the differences from an 8 to a 10. Um, 10 10 just needs to be perfect at this point, pretty much. Obviously there are little minor things that you can, sway. um, but yeah, it's the ones that are hard. I have no idea what they're looking at specifically from like the 2 to 6 range, because it's like, oh, this card looks pretty decent, but then it comes back a 3. It's like,
Mhm.
whoa.
Mhm.
So it's easier with the higher grades. Like obviously, if it has a scratch, it's not getting a 10. If it has some whitening, maybe it's a low 9 or an 8, solid 8. Um, but yeah, going back to, I just have like no time. So a lot of the time I get the card, make sure it's good, in the proper cards saver and everything, and then submit it, put it in the pile, and kind of continue on with the process. But no, it's definitely fun to see all the cards that are being submitted. That's really one of the best parts is I've handled so many cards, so many
Mhm.
pretty crazy cards. And yeah, it's just awesome. Like all the history and everything that goes into it all. And just the fact that someone trusts me to help them with their prized collection, it's pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
Omash, have you done any type of video on your channel yet? Kind of like a guess that grade type of video where maybe you took like a handful of cards, guessed them, and then seen how closely they matched your prediction once you got them back.
I've been asked to do it, but just because it's kind of Leonhardt's thing, like I try not to
Mhm.
copy people, especially like the big, Poketubers out there, because it's just
Mhm.
like, I don't know. To me, I worry too much about what people think, and I would just think like, he's just copying Leonhardt, like come up with your own idea type of thing. But no, so I haven't specifically done that, but if
I
I get
you know
enough
it, it's
requests,
if it's any consolation, I would actually love to see that, and here's
Yeah,
why.
me too.
I mean, I like Leonhardt just fine. I've been a fan of his, since the beginning.
uh,
Um, but in my opinion, I could be totally wrong, but he is not dealing with the same quantity of cards that you do on a periodic basis, where
mm,
I think you would be able to offer a lot more insight and an educated uh, guess on what these cards would come back in. because to be quite honest, I would trust you a lot more than I would trust Leonhardt, because you've essentially created a business out of this, and you are going through a massive quantity of products each and every month. So if and I think Jules is nodding over there, so I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
he agrees with
I
me.
agree. I
Um,
agree.
but I wouldn't be too harsh on yourself in that regard. I think a lot of people would like to see that, because one of the things that I have noticed, and Jules can attest to this, a lot of the time in my live Q&As, or
Mhm.
even emails that I get, or direct messages, it's pictures of cards, and it's, what do you think this card would come
It's
back
it.
in?
Exactly.
It's like 90% of the correspondences that I get are those questions. And if you have, maybe, monthly or something like that, where you could go through and people could see, wow, like Omaash is on point. Like he knows the condition on these cards before they're even submitted. I think that would provide people with a lot more education, and it would also provide more exposure to the larger community of realizing what a PSA 9 really looks like, or what a CGC 6.5 really looks like, because they've seen you and they start to familiarize themselves with it through you.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm sure, like I said, Jules is shaking his head. Yes. I'm sure a lot of our community would agree. But yeah, I would love to see that personally.
That's I definitely never thought of it in, that regard. And so maybe it's a possibility now.
Yeah,
If
you heard it here first, guys. You heard it here first.
you see a big thumbnail with a guess that grade, you guys know why. Because of
Think
you.
about it this way: Leonhardt, as much as we all love him, at the end of the day, I go watch Leonhardt also for the theatrics that are behind the video, right?
Mhm.
And despite him always pulling brand new cards out of a pack, unfortunately, probably 95% or 90% of people don't have the chance to pull brand new cards out of a pack all the time, right? So
Not the vintage
he's,
ones.
in his mind, he's always at a 9, a 9.5, or a 10, right? Technically coming out of a pack. So whereas strip away all the theatrics and start going into an 8 or 7.5, or what there's actually supposed to be looking like, if you focus on really a custom, like a making sure you understand that grading. And that's why I said it was so important for us to understand as collectors the grading before you submit it. People
Mhm.
will see you as okay, Omaash is on point here, guys. Like, he's not fooling around. We're sending in cards that are a 6. He knows that it's a 6, whereas Leonhardt's opening up brand new cards all the time, and he's in it. You're naturally human saying, okay, it's a 9 or a 10, basically, right? So
Yeah,
it's
that's a good
easier to
point.
guess
That's
that
a really good
grade,
point.
so that's what I think. That's where I think the opportunity is there, basically. So
That is true. Very true. But then I also like, what if I copy his idea and then he like messaged me, bro, that's my thing. I'd be like, oh crap.
you don't have to call it that, but hey, if he messages you, then you came on his radar. You came on
Yeah.
Leonhardt's radar, dude. you know?
And then you could throw back, well, primetime Pokemon, Gem and Pokemon, they were the first ones to start opening cards. So really everyone that has come after that has essentially copied them. So,
Exactly.
I think like Jules was saying, I think it's more or less from like an educational, standpoint. I think for him, his video series is more entertainment, where I think for you, providing that insight and that education because of your experience with all of these cards. I just think that would be really, really helpful for the community, and I think you're definitely in the right position and the right person to do that.
Well,
Yeah,
sweet. Thanks, guys. Pumping me up over here.
that's it.
Yeah.
Don't cut yourself thin, or what's the that's not the right saying at all.
Oh,
What's
Jules,
don't
he's trying to give us
yeah,
some Canadian puns here.
Canadian stuff, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll send you guys maple syrup. Okay, we'll clear everything up,
There you
guys.
go.
Everything's gonna be good. Uh, well, guys, I hope that you guys have enjoyed that. CGC and all that information that we've been providing you towards grading. We've had Omaash on. He's been great. Omaash, have you been having fun so far, dude?
Oh yeah, blast.
There,
Just before this, guys, I was worried we wouldn't talk an hour, and it's definitely already been an hour.
Oh
there,
yeah.
there you go. There you go. You see, I told you once we started getting going, then we'd have enough information to speak about for sure. Shad, I think it's time. Do we hit those rapid fire questions? I think possibly. Are we
Ugh,
ready for that?
I hope I can come up with enough questions on the top of my head.
I
I'm
have.
just as worried about this as Omaash is.
let's try a couple, okay? Let's get to know Omaash a little bit more, okay? Um,
awesome.
let's go with this. I'm gonna start with one here. Just quick. Pokemon red or blue?
Blue. Every time.
Gold or silver?
Silver.
Nice, nice. Um, CGC or PSA?
Oh gosh, it's hard.
No, putting him on the spot now.
Yeah. PSA for now. CGC in a year.
Okay. Are you more accustomed, not but accustomed, but what do you like better? Pokemon or Dragon Ball Z? Deep down
Freak.
inside.
Freak. That one's so hard, but I think Dragon Ball Z.
Nice, nice. To the roots.
To
Shad?
the roots.
All right, let's see here. So if you could have lunch or you could sit down and you could have a conversation with any content creator out there, who would it be?
See, I actually don't watch that many people that aren't like Pokemon people. But it'd probably be Real Breaking Nate. I think he'd be super fun, and he's been doing it so long that I'd love to pick his brain.
Yeah. He seems so down to earth, I guess, right? Too. They could
That
just be
too.
like a couple of guys at a table just eating a sandwich or something, and it would be cool, you know.
I'd also want to try and figure out why he loves Psyduck so much.
that's, that's a good point.
I think what it boils down to is he probably made that statement at some point and was just like, you know what, I got to stick with it. I just got to stick with Psyduck.
Yeah, that's probably it.
All right, and let's see if there was one card in a perfect. We'll say we'll go up the echelon in a perfect black label BGS 10. There's one card you could have in that condition. What would it be?
This one's a little weird, but ever since getting back into the hobby, I've loved Shining Mewtwo from the Neo set.
Oh my god! You just made Shad's day, dude. You just...
Okay, so hold on, because I gotta clarify this here. So you were born in 1990. So was I. You were born in December. What day in December?
15th.
December 15th. What's your horoscope?
Sagittarius.
Dude, you're speaking to a fellow. Mine's November 27th. I'm a fellow Sagittarius. My favorite Pokemon is Mewtwo. My favorite card of all time is Shining Mewtwo.
There you go.
That's what's crazy. Mewtwo isn't even my favorite Pokemon, but I love Shining Mewtwo. I don't know what it is. It's right here on my wall, and I stare at it all the time during my workday. I just love it.
Yep.
Nice. That's awesome.
That is awome. That is awesome.
Man, so that was amazing. As soon as he's like shining, I'm like, oh my god, is he see Mewtwo? And then he's like, yes, it's
No, I agree with you, man. That really is a beautiful card, an absolute beautiful card. That's my favorite series as well. Is the Neo era. I love all of those series. I feel like that was the high watermark for Pokemon, in my opinion. Was the Neo era, but Omaash. You just went to the top of the list for me, buddy. You're top of the list. So last question
Shad,
here. We've covered Pokemon. We're on the same wavelength here. You're also a fellow DBZ fan. So my last question for you, this one's real simple. Goku or Vegeta?
Oof. You, it makes me mad when people say Vegeta, because how can you beat Goku? Goku
Oh,
is just
see, now you just went to the bottom of the list, Omaash.
I knew that was going to happen, but seriously, Vegeta's awesome. Don't get me wrong. But when you're comparing him to Goku, he comes second every time. Even in the anime, he's always below Goku.
Yeah, he is the eternal underdog. The eternal underdog.
I mean, people do love underdogs, so maybe that's why Vegeta, is up there for him. But Goku's just the best.
See, I thought you were gonna come back and say Krillin.
Oh man, Master Roshi would be a pretty close one because I love Master.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, for sure. That's awesome, man.
That's awesome. That's really good. I just want to finish with one more. I like the teleport. I'm a very conspiracy theorist kind of person. I still think that Logan Paul was contacted by the Pokemon company, and because they said they needed to do something for the 25th anniversary, and he blew it up. But that's just my thing. Shad is gonna give me those 10 lashes after for bringing this up again, but it doesn't
Definitely.
matter. Last one. You get into a teleportation device. You go back to 1999, 2000, 2001, WotC era boxes. You have no idea what the prices are. You can buy this at retail, $80, $100. Which box, excluding what the prices we know about now, which WotC era box are you buying?
Gym Heroes, Gym Challenge,
Oh,
all the time. It's my
Nice.
favorite set in the whole world. I love the artwork. I love that they all belong to a specific gym leader. Can't beat it. You cannot beat it.
Nice. Good
Yeah,
choice.
that's
Good
awesome.
choice.
Those are the two sets that, for some reason, I did not collect as a kid. So that's kind of where I focused, is trying to collect more of those. I went like right from Legendary Collection to like the Neo era, and just kind of bypassed those two. But you're right, man. They're beautiful.
Yeah, I don't think I had too many of them as a kid either, but just looking back at how much I love Pokemon now, and then looking at those artworks, literally every single card is just amazing.
Yeah,
It has
for
a story.
sure.
Each card has like a story behind it, basically, right? Like how they was.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
It's so
awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, guys, Omaash, thank you so much for accepting to be here on the podcast with Shad and I. Before we go, before we have some closing statements, we'd like to just give you the floor here. If people want to follow you, if people want to know your socials and so on, go ahead, share all that, buddy.
Yeah, so I am known as Omaash everywhere.
Everywhere.
TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. It's just Omaash. The only weird one is Twitter. Omaash was already taken, so it's Omaash 4. I don't know why 4, but I just threw it on there. But yeah, guys, join the Omaash Nation. We have a blast, and really thank you guys for inviting me. I get nervous for these kind of things, but seriously, it was so fun. So if you ever need
It
me
was,
back,
man. Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah.
Of course,
we shouldn't have left off with the Vegeta question, because I was just gonna have you back on, every week. But
that's it, guys. So with that being said, guys, we'll have all of Omaash's information in the description below, to his YouTube, to his Instagram, and then we'll spread out to all those other social media platforms that exist. I can't even count. We can't even count anymore. Every day something pops up. We gotta get onto it. But Shad, anything to close before anything?
Again, I just want to thank you, Omaash. What you're doing for the community is awesome. Again, I think that you've got a great platform. You've got a great channel. And, if anybody is looking to relieve some of the burden of having your cards graded, then consider going through Omaash and having him do it for you, because he's very knowledgeable. He's handled a ton of cards, and he'll be able to hook you guys up in that regard. But Omaash, again, thank you so much for being here, buddy. We truly appreciate it.
yeah, thank you guys. That was a blast.
All right, guys. With that being said, thank you again so much. We've been asking this, Shad, in our last couple of episodes. I think we did you see? I think you would have seen single strike and rapid strike is coming out. So what do we do? What do we do? We're gonna single strike that like button, rapid strike that subscribe button, guys. If you're following us on YouTube, do what you got to do. Stick with us. We have more great content creators ahead. Omaash, again, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And with that being said, we'll see you guys all in the next episodes. Take care.
See
See
you later,
ya.
guys.